Yeah. So let us start with 04, the fall of man.
Fall of man. The fall of man, the thinking destiny. The fall of man, that is the doer. The changes in the body, death, re-existence in a male or a female body. The doers now on earth, circulations of units through the bodies of humans. So how the fall of man occurs, he is explaining.
Correct.
The doer that did not take that inner path continue to think of the companion as other than itself. So
Mm,
that separation.
correct.
Okay, let's go
So
down.
this is very similar to I as God create and I create. The chapter 11, I don't recall which chapter, I think 11 only.
In the second level, second chapter, I think.
No, no, no. Kirti, this I create and I create in competition with God. Which chapter is it? 6, is it? In our thinking and destiny?
Oh, not thinking and destiny, unified.
Unified, I mean, unified.
Okay.
Hmm.
What
Yeah.
is it, sir?
No, no.
Manifestations
In
all are in part
unified,
2.
huh?
All the manifestations are in part 2.
No, not manifestation, in terms of creation.
Oh, creation is chapter 7.
Chapter 7,
Seven.
right? Yeah. No, I think somewhere I had pulled it out also. One sec. I think I have one slide which, yeah. Thought creation. Our creation and thought, God's creation and thought. This comparison. I don't know, right? So the doer that did not take that inner path continue to think of the companion as other than itself. Okay, that separation, yes. Yeah, let's continue, ma'am.
As the thinking went on, changes came about in the male body of the desire of the doer and in the female body of the feeling of the doer. So that separation changes, yeah, male and female.
This is the test
These
separation.
test prepared.
Yeah,
These changes made it possible for the bodies to consort. So that is why male and female separation occurred. The desire of the doer was reflected in the feeling of the doer, and each attracted to the other until their bodies consorted. Thereby, doer, as feeling and desire, took the outer path. Some doers who took the outer path, or outer path in the sense using the sensual pleasure word.
Correct.
Doers who took the outer path are doers who today live in human bodies on the outer earth crust.
Correct.
So, above the pineal and pituitary bodies were closed because the doer had opened procreative organs below. So, so before this outer path or pleasures enjoying world, so that is why these inner pineal pituitary bodies were opened, but
Yeah,
later they closed.
correct.
With the closing of these inner organs, the eyes became blind to all but human physical things.
Light went out.
Light went out through the sexual organs and was lost into the nature. So the sensual pleasure, the humans were only spending their time in enjoying only this. The then unused different or nature column of the perfect body, it was broken and it is low and its lower part dwindled away. So that means that separation occurred, the front and back, nature and
Correct.
self. So it became two. Before when it was perfect, it was only one column. Organs, among them, the thymus gland atrophied. So
So
the
that
thymus it
almost
became
melted away or became
nerve.
non-existent.
Yeah, very tiny. Nerves of the front cord, which had been used for work with the nature, were transferred to run along the spinal column, and they formed the right and left main trunks of what is now the involuntary nervous system, with which are merged the branches of the right and left vagus nerve. So
Hmm.
this is how the nervous system formed, right and left.
So non-voluntary and the non-involuntary, both.
Connected to the one vagus nerve, right? Other nerves were scattered about and became nerve centers and plexus in the body cavities, and those from the lower part of the broken column became the labyrinth of the intestinal tract.
Hmm. So that is how the human body got created.
Correct. So it got separated into two nervous system, autonomous, and
Correct.
yeah. And then, yeah, eventually the one he now human body created. The arms and legs, which once could move in any direction, became limited in their movements. So this is how the changes occurred. Many of the ribs melted away. One half of the double flexible pelvis faded away, and what remained hardened. So it used to be flexible pelvis, it seems.
Hmm.
The now for us, it's very hard in pelvis. It remain hardened. The pubic bone is all that is left of the lower front part. So before there were many ribs melted away. The vertebrae of the front column disappeared, and the only sign as the vestiges of them are in the sternum.
Hmm.
There used to be front column vertebra also, but it disappeared.
Correct.
Okay, let's go down. Okay. The fourfold body, which had been used for the maintenance of nature, now became dependent upon nature. So which had been used for the maintenance of the nature, now it has become completely dependent upon nature, the fourfold body. The body, which had been the servant of the doer, became the master. Most of the time was spent in working for and serving it. So, yeah, you have written Annamaya Kosh. Yeah. The body, which had been nourished by matter, taken into the directly from the four elements through the four senses, needed to be nourished by food. So, before that's why it's like the woman who lives in the Siberian forest.
Anesthesia.
Anesthesia, madam. Yeah. She lives only on sunlight and not, only very little food.
Hmm.
So it used to be everybody like that, but because of our thoughts and the habits, completely changes occurred. The
Correct.
body, which had been nourished by matter, taken into directly from the four elements. That means, Earth. All is only human used to survive on the four elements through the four senses, needed to be nourished now by food. The food and drink became heavy and coarse and were taken in through the mouth. So eventually, so before it was just taken throughout the body through the pores, I heard through the skin pores.
Correct.
Now, taking through the mouth. Much was waste. Only a small part was used to support the body. Now, food became and remained the problems of life. So the more you eat, you more diseases now we are getting.
Oh my God.
God. 100 years ago, now it is worse.
Yeah. Food became
Yeah.
and has remained the problem of life. Fine.
Yeah.
My
What
mom
is-
always says that we dig our grave through our teeth. Like, we get diseases by eating.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, cravings increased. What is now the digestive system, which its large organs was once a system of nerves through which the transient units came to maintain the body. So what is now the digestive system? Once it was large organs was once a system nerves. Only it used to be a system of nerves, it seems, the digestive system.
Hmm.
Now it has become organ, which is transient units came, yeah. Before it was like a transient units with the nerves. Some of them became the liver, gallbladder, pancreas, spleen, and stomach when the front column became the bowels. So that is how the changes occurred. Before, only the nerves used to be in the body. So there none of these different organs were there. Now
No, I'm just
everything
thinking a little bit beyond the physical body. See, in that light body and
Mm.
ascension, he spoke about the fifth dimension, the higher self able to write, and they were
Yes.
connected to the skin pores, right?
Yeah. See, I
And
will
he
tell you one.
talks about a parallel nervous system.
No, again in ascending, the same thing happens. In ascending, we lose all this. He explains.
All
What
these
he was
start
explaining.
merging into that old technology or the old blueprint.
Correct. In ascension, all this will disappear and become nerves.
Exactly.
Same process. Yeah. So reverses. Yes.
No, in fact, we may realize that as we are reading through this and your connection and awareness you experience when you are in the meditative trance, right? You see them merging.
Yes. And that energy flow. Yeah. And
We
that
feel
changes
that
occur.
actually.
Yeah. That's why you feel heavy in certain body parts and all. Yeah. Some of them became, yeah, okay,
Is
different
this a
organs.
spiritual book or a book on spiritual anatomy? There seems to be
Oh,
more of anatomy than spirituality. I think this is a
yeah.
must for all medical students. If they really want to understand medicine, this.
No, they will understand. But problem is they don't get money. That is why they are not doing this.
Hmm. And now they will
If they
be
want,
forced. Ma'am, I can very clearly see that the next, not the immediate generation of doctors, but 2 generations from now, if they don't have this, they will not be able to survive in their profession because customers will start demanding all this.
that is why spiritual psychics will have more power, more demand in future.
Yeah.
The present circulatory system with the kidneys and adrenals and the bladder became such from a system of fine structures when the present digestive system became gross and adapted to gross food. So that is how, that system, became much bigger and gross. The respiratory system was then the thoracic brain. The present generative system exercised its creative function from the brain in the head. So
That
at
is,
that time,
with
was
the
a
power itself, they were able to create.
yeah. So there was no respiratory system. He was saying it was then the thoracic brain. The present generative system
So that means this thoracic brain got split into 2 brains, one in the gut and one in the head,
yeah.
and one in the heart also. So thoracic region, I think it has gone into the heart. The neurons in the heart. You
Yeah.
have neurons in the heart, you have neurons in the gut, and you have neurons in the brain.
Yeah, it's a kind of a bridge.
Mm.
The doer knew it had done wrong. So it knew. It knew that it had sinned against itself and it was afraid. It knew division in itself. The doer no longer had communion with the thinker and knower. The doer in the body no longer knew itself as the desire or as the feeling, but sensed itself as the human being.
So this is
So,
where it became completely 2 independent bodies.
correct.
Mm.
The doer had known, the doer which had known no fear, because it lived in the light, now feared. So now fear entered.
So
And there was no
and then
fear.
fear played the dominant role of light. Absence of light
Well,
is fear. So the other way to read this is absence of light is the fear.
that oneness was there. When oneness is there, there's no fear.
Correct.
The separation occurred, fear entered. It was obliged to leave the interior of the earth where it had been and join the other doers which had taken the outer path, the path of the death and birth.
Hmm.
The doers were separated from their former places and lived together in communities.
Hmm.
After the death of the two bodies of the doer, when the doer re-existed, it entered a male body or a female body, and in that body, it did not have the power to put forth its counterpart. So, balance. It doesn't have a power to put forth its counterpart. It selected a male
No, it
or
doesn't have access to the counterpart.
Correct. It selected a mate, a doer in a male or a female body, according to the predominance of feeling or desire. So, because there is no balance, it just chose only one, either this or that.
So the vehicle for it to experience whatever it had to experience and then coexist was decided by the type of body that it occupied.
Yeah,
That is how the body became the vehicle to the journey of the soul.
correct.
Yeah.
Doer itself has no sex. So, yeah, it is neither male nor female. It possesses the characteristics nature of both. So basically, the doer, it has both because it's balanced. Yin yang, or female male balance is there.
Correct. No, it has
Energy.
both, and we don't know which one which one is dominating. That becomes the characteristic that it takes, and that body it takes.
Yes. Desire is characteristic of a man. Feeling is a characteristic of a woman. If the doer expresses itself as a male, it shows the nature of a man and does things that men do. The body is masculine. So basically, male has domination and a lot of
So
other
your
things.
testosterone versus estrogens.
Correct. Testosterone and estrogen. Yes. The female side is suppressed in the body of a man. Likewise, in a female body, the male side is suppressed. So, some communities lived proper lives and remained in the interior. So, some communities, they had a balance of both and they lived interior. They remained interior. Others deteriorated and were led on towards the outer crust by a search for food suitable for their conditions until they came to the outside world where were men and women doers who had fallen long before into the stream of birth and death. So there were some like munis and who rishis and whoever were. So they knew what is right and they followed that path, which is he calls inner path in inside world.
Yeah.
And he calls outside world who are fallen to these outside pleasures. At times, the newcomers were superior, at other times, inferior to the people on the crust. So, newcomers in the sense, new people who are born, they were superior, and at other times, inferior. At times, they started a new cycle of civilization. At other times, they were barbarians who overran a portion of the earth. So, civilization, change of civilization. At times, they wandered out in tribes through caves. At other times, they were borne out by waters, and the waters filled up the openings through which the tribes had come. So basically, through the land and through the water, they're all.
Not only that, he's also talking about the submerger of various races and all that. All those are covered in this.
Right. Because of calamity, some went down and again they came up. In isolated cases, a doer came into its companion bodies to the outside world as a pair who were not born in the interior earth. So in very few cases, yeah, the bodies of the pair were different from those around. Their bodies were superior in form, not subjected to disease or fatigue. So there was a beauty, freshness, and liveliness about them that was distinctive. Their hair was as different from that of the people as is human hair from hemp. So these are all very,
Probably the enlightened masters that we are talking about.
the doer had a vague memory of the light, its intelligence, and of immortality, justice, and happiness, ideas it had been conscious of when its thinker and knower. So they lived with the light of intelligence, with the some memory of light of intelligence, immortality, justice, happiness, and then they were in touch with the thinker and knower.
So
the
these are
conscious of.
people
Some-
like Leonardo da Vinci and all that. He was always in touch with his higher self.
Yeah, and also people like Tesla and lot of other people also,
Yeah.
Nostradamus. So
Blavatsky.
yeah, correct. And sometimes he told the people about that world from which it came and used the sun as a symbol for the light in which it had dwelt. Sometimes the people believed it came from the sun. So original solar dynasties may have been founded. So people, in those days they thought, okay, everything, it came from the sun. They started worshipping, and that is how the solar dynasties, Rajavamsa of, Rama,
Ishwaku.
Ikshvaku Vamsa, yes. So that is how they found it. The doer did not know it had created its companion by dividing itself, but the two came together into the world and they felt that they were brother and sister as well as a husband and wife. So it did not have that created its companion by dividing itself. He didn't know. So that love is there always, and they were all balanced in characteristics. The legends of marriage between a divine brother and sister, as of Isis and Osiris, and the corresponding human customs may have originated in the appearance of such a pair. These legends are as distorted as are those of Jesus and Adam, but there is a fact of human experience underlying each of them. Every doer now,
Things he's talking about anyway.
yeah. Every doer now on earth has been re-existing as a human being ever since the time it fell and had to leave its companion bodies at their death. So they keep re-existing. The vast majority of doers came in and belonged to this present fourth civilization, which began millions of years ago on this earth. He calls this as a fourth civilization. However, some doers have been re-existing since the third, and some even since the second and the first civilizations. Oh, okay. So
that is where we have that Gaia.com, Matthias, Stefano Matthias, and those kind of people. He says there are millions of us working around.
Yeah, correct. Since ages, yes.
Correct.
These are old travelers who have had many.
One of them might be Mahavatar Babaji also.
Oh, correct. Yes. These are old travelers who have had many ups and downs and have each cycled through wealth and poverty, prominence and obscurity, health and disease, honor and shame, culture and crudeness, in short lives and in long lives, and most have made little progress in untold millions of years. Among the doers, some earned their freedom and passed on. The majority keep on the treadmill of life and death, repeat their experiences, and learn little or nothing while they are issuing thoughts and weaving destiny. Some earned their freedom and passed on. So some they got enlightened and they passed on. And some,
correct.
Yeah, and repeated their experience and learn little or nothing. Some they did not, they keep repeating. the re-existing portion of the some doers got into condition where they lost so much light that the triune self withdrew the light from the embodied portion. Oh my God. So they are so bad. Completely the dual light disappeared, it seems. The light from the doer. Triune self withdrew the light from the embodied portion. And those doer portions were lost. That is, they are in darkness and their re-existence are suspended. So that also happens when it completely is lost. It got suspended.
Correct.
In some bodies that appear to be inhabited, there are no doers.
Hmm.
Among them are whose doers have withdrawn and will have no further embodiment during a long period. So, according to him, no more human birth for a while. So, they go into the lower world. Such beings as these are unable to conceive of the doer and are opposed to the thought of it. They have a horror of death.
Hmm.
If they show mental abilities, these are due to working according to the patterns made on the breath form before the withdrawal of the portion of the doer that was in the body, and that are prompted by nature. They are automatic and are carried on by the brain and voluntary nervous system. So these horrible patterns were formed on the breath form. It happened because of that withdrawal of that portion of the embodied portion of the doer.
Correct.
During the immense periods which have passed in the fourth civilization, there have been many changes in the structure of the Earth's crust, in the surface distribution of land and water, in the inclination of poles, in the climates in different parts, in the magnetic and electric currents in the earth, the water, the air, and the starlight, in the relation and influence of the four elements, and in the manifestation of forces and phenomena in them.
Hmm.
So there have been all changes occurred. So in all these, he's saying so many changes occurred in fourth civilization. These changes were produced as the exteriorizations of thoughts of streams of re-existing doers.
Hmm.
Amidst these varying surroundings came many different types of minerals, plants, flowers with strange properties, and also came animals of varying types of all put it into form by human thought. So only human thoughts created different varieties of all these flowers, animals, and all these plants.
Hmm.
There were changes in the colors and features of human bodies and constant swinging of cycles from primitive rudeness to the refinement of culture. Amidst all these changes in our nature, the governments, morals, and religions gradually have changed too, and have ever repeated themselves in cycles. So, because of all these changes, amidst all this, in the middle of all these changes in outer nature, the governments, morals, and religious gradually have changed. Religions also gradually have changed too, and have ever repeated themselves in cycles. All changes of the conditions under which the doers lived were the exteriorizations of their thoughts. So basically, he's saying everything
I
happened.
think we need to recall this in line with the zodiac. Because all energies are shifting, right? It's going in a cyclic manner. So we may probably have to recall this at that time again.
Oh, okay. So these, okay, because these changes also occurs in the galaxy or
Correct.
overall.
Correct. So that is how nature is readjusting itself to meet the thought patterns that we are generating. That is how the governments, etc., are undergoing a change.
Correct. And also he said the four elements.
Correct.
Yeah.
The fourfold body. Yeah.
From the standpoint of man, with his conception of length, breadth, and thickness as a three dimensions, the earth, if it could be seen, would appear as a sponge-like spherical crust between three outer spherical layers and three inner spherical layers. So according to him, He says that Earth appeared as 3 outer and 3 inner layers. So does he mean this body layers?
No, he is talking about layers in the earth crust.
Okay. The earth crust has an outer and an inner surface. The distance between these varies from about 200 to 800 miles. Oh my God. 200 to 800 miles in the outer crust to inner crust. The outside is the world of men and
He's
is the only world men know of. So
He's talking
outside.
about
Yeah, sir.
upper crust, then the mantle, and then the outer core, middle core, inner core. Inner core is supposed to be totally in a liquid form,
Mm,
constituting of very strong metals. On spinning, they create the magnetic field.
true. And
So
the other one is even the fossils and all that we are
they are
thinking
only in the
are
crust.
taken from they are in the crust.
They are only in the crust.
Correct.
Crust
And
itself.
that also we are destroying.
Yeah, I mean,
By
primarily we
consuming
are
them.
destroying that. Primarily, we are destroying upper layer of Earth's crust.
Correct.
And
No,
that
but
which is
by drilling deep into the core, we are also destroying the inner cores.
no, but we have not been able to do that, sir. That's about 4,000 miles diameter. I mean,
No, he says
radius.
2 to 800 miles.
No, between
200
each,
to
800.
between each. This is
Yeah.
between each.
2 to 800 miles is possibly depth to the mantle.
Probably.
Depth
I
to the
agree,
mantle.
yes.
That's all. And core, nobody has been able to penetrate.
Not yet, but then going forward when the destruction is inevitable, we will go into that level also.
Core also possible, yeah.
According to Percival, it looks like this is the Patala Loka.
Yeah,
It could be.
it
But
could be.
Right now, most of these earthquakes and all those things are generated from the mantle. Mantle and core, that's where these things, huge masses of earth falls down so that it sort of shakes the whole upper region.
Correct.
And even if it is just 2 degrees or 3 degrees at a depth of 300
I
miles.
don't think it requires that much also. Because when it comes to the outer crust, it would have become magnified. And
Vast area.
probably that is the thing that they are predicting, that a portion of South Africa is going to come and merge with India.
That, yeah, quite possible that this
And if it happens, the western part of India will become colder than the Himalayas. That is the prediction.
Okay. Yeah.
That is Bombay, Gujarat, and all that entire belt, the western belt,
Yeah.
will be frozen.
Yeah, it's quite possible, sir. But once the oceans disappear, that means there is a
No,
greater
ocean is not disappearing.
The
Ocean will be
Africa-
there, but that will come and merge here.
the
The
Indian
broken
West.
crust of South Africa, that split portion, which has already split by about almost 500 meters or something, he said.
So that will move.
Yeah,
Yes. Continental drift is one thing that's going on. There are 7 tectonic plates.
correct.
They are
One of them
moving.
is the South Africa towards India.
Possible, yeah. Because India moved from near to Australia onto Asian continent long time ago.
Correct.
That's how the Himalayas buckled up.
No, he said there are going to be mountains in the western side of India which are going to be higher than Himalayas.
Yeah, that means there is again buckling between the 2 continents.
Well, there could be something like that happening.
Yeah, continental plates. That is the theory again.
Correct.
Nobody has seen them, but that's what the theory is. There are 7 continental plates.
Maybe somebody in this universe who is going to outlive us for a long time will be able to see that.
Right. Yeah.
Or maybe we will incarnate in some other form and we will see that. Yeah,
Spiritual form, that's the only way that they can see. Yeah.
correct.
Because physical forms would disappear most of the time because of the heat generated.
The outside is the world of men and is the only one that between the
That's on the
outer and
upper
inner
crust.
skin of the solid layer are large and small subterranean chambers in which there are fires, airs, oceans, lakes, and rivers, which often differ in their qualities and colors from things seen in the outer crust.
Right.
That means they are vibrating at a different frequency, and that frequency is generating different colors, different hues, and so on.
Yeah.
Let's continue, man.
Yeah, minerals, plants, and animals are different in their forms and habits from those known to human beings. Forces are operative there, which are dormant on the outer crust.
So there are many
There are forces,
forces
but
which we are not exposed to, correct?
not exposed to, correct. Gravity and other forces are changed from what they are as known to man. So gravity also, there is a change there in gravity also. Many people in various degrees of development exist between the outer and inner skin of this layer. They differ as to color, size, features, and weight. To some of them, the crust is as transparent as the air is to men. To others, it is opaque, but they have a diffused earth light by which they see. To
I
these,
don't
many
really don't understand. To cut nails in the ports, why you have to go from the garage?
Sorry, ask that again, please.
No. It was something else, not connected with this. Not
okay.
connected
Probably
with
she
the book. It
I
was
thought
something.
somebody is questioning on the Earth's crust.
No, that also is. But towards the end, it was clear. It is not earth crust, but some other crust.
Okay. Yeah, we trust.
To some of them, the crust is as transparent as the air is to men. To others, it is
So,
opaque.
no, this also means the various geographical terrain that we are living in,
Yeah.
because the skin color, the
Yeah.
right. So if you take people in India, people in South Africa, people in these regions also, in the colder regions and all, that this could be a manifestation of those also.
Yeah, because see, of course, wherever the cold region in that area, the people are lighter skin. That is there. And wherever the harsh sun is there, it is darker. But yeah. He says, yeah, the thing of the looking at the ground, the Mother Earth also. He says for some people it looks as opaque. For some it is very thin. They can transparent.
You go to you go to Australia, you will feel that the ozone layer itself is depleted.
Depleted?
Yeah.
Ah.
You will see their skin, it becomes rubbery. Old people's skin, if you look at them in the Australian condition, it's very rubbery. You can feel it.
Okay. So, but they have a diffused earth light by which they see. To these many races in the different strata of the crust, their environment is a world. The beings inside and beyond the crust are the nature side or the intelligent side. So either the beings inside and
So
beyond
the
the
beings
crust.
inside are going to be again, they are going to have their own differences and nuances, both.
Yeah. The beings inside beyond the crust are the nature side or intelligence side. Each side has its own world in which the constituents, requirements, and possibilities are different. Beyond the outer and inner skin conditions are such as to be incomprehensible at present. So does he mean inner skin means is this earth skin or human skin?
No, earth skin also. The
Okay,
entire environment is different, basically.
correct. On either side of this
When he
solid
says the
spherical,
beings inside are even the occupants, all the inhabitants.
yeah, of the earth.
Correct. Of that crust itself.
Correct.
Hmm.
On either side of the solid spherical layer is a fluid layer, which is not water, but is the element of water as it appears through and it is affected by the earth element. So he says there is some water like, but it is not water.
Yeah, it is actually metallic liquid, madam.
Ah,
There is
So
okay.
even
metallic
the
liquid.
metallic liquid, fire as a liquid, all the
Right.
volcanoes, those are all the
Ah,
eruptions.
right. Or those are
Underneath,
liquids. Yeah.
underneath the solid layer.
Correct.
The two layers of water, one on each side of the solid layer, are in reality one mass which moves through and in the solid layer. So even though there are two layers of the water, okay, one on each side of the solid layer are in reality one mass which moves through and in the solid layer. On either side of this fluid layer is a layer of air. So
Gases.
different
This becomes
strata
the
are there.
gas.
Different gases. Yeah.
That becomes the gases.
Correct. Different gases. These air layers, though they would appear as one in the inside and as one on the outside, are in reality one mass, which moves in and through the mass of water and rind of the solid earth. On either side of the airy layer is a layer of fire. So all these four elements, how they are forming as a layers. On either side of the airy layer is a layer of fire, and the outer and inner layers of fire are really one mass. See, this is what eruption of the volcano.
Yeah,
What
all
would
those.
appear,
Correct.
what would appear and is conceived as of the central portion of fire inside is one, that vast layer of fire is matter outside. Okay, what would appear and is conceived of as the central portion of fire inside is one that with the vast layer of fire matter outside.
It's a great sentence, sir, actually. What he's talking about, in my understanding, is that the lava is the liquid
Correct.
that stays as a magma under the skin of outer crust.
Correct.
When it comes out as a lava, that's the one that forms the solid. And that's the one that gives rise to different minerals, rocks, and all sorts of solid matter. So coming from hot liquid, which is possibly fire as well as the water that he is talking about, comes out and becomes the solids.
Yeah, it fills with the air, through the
Yeah,
air.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, takes
So
the air and then,
in all the four states, it will be there.
yeah, outside.
Correct.
No, it's a
That's why
transition.
So
Yeah.
whatever is exposed might have solidified. What is not exposed would be in the different solid, fluid, and other states.
Yeah, it vaporizes also, right?
Correct.
So that becomes the air.
Correct.
The spherical mass of fire is and moves in through the air and the water through the in of the air, water, earth, and the earth. The earth, which would thus appear to be made of 7 layers and is made up of 4 globes. The earthly globe is being only a spongy rind and not solid throughout. So basically, it has 7 layers. It is made up of 7 layers, 4 globes, it seems.
Correct.
These are the 4 states of matter on the physical plane. The fire extends from the center to the outermost portion through the earthly ring and through the fluid and the
Earthy ring, not earthly.
earthy ring. Yeah, the fire extends from the center of the outermost portion through the earthy ring and through the fluid and airy masses. So earth, fluid, and airy, it goes through the fire. The fire
Correct.
extends from that.
Correct. The earth is thus supported and maintained by the three outer states of matter and the four move through it as a fourfold stream of breath. That is how breath is created.
The earthy shell is the supported and maintained by the other three states of matter, and the four move through it as a fourfold stream of breath. Basically, all these four, see, everything is made up of all four elements.
Correct.
So, the same way, all these four elements in different forms, they're moving underneath the earth. The apparent contradiction that the three outer layers are one with the three inner layers is due to people being acquainted only with the one dimension out of four.
Mm. We
So-
only know with the solid state. We don't know the others.
Cannot comprehend because of our three-dimensional limitation. Their sight reaches only surfaces. They know only surfaces. They live on surfaces. Their thoughts are about surfaces. This is our 3D.
Yeah.
The surface dimension is onness. See, that is why we cannot feel something inside the earth.
No, you cannot.
About
Yeah.
cannot. If people became conscious of the other dimensions, the earth would not look at as it does now.
Correct.
So
It will change.
it would not even look as if in layers, but would be as a mass of fire containing, pervading, and supporting a smaller mass of air containing, pervading, and supporting in its turn a lesser mass of water containing, pervading, and supporting the hollow earth crust. So one in the other, it is mixing,
No,
of-
today we cannot. If we are able to raise our consciousness, we will be able to group all those components, just like Dr. Chopra says, right? Your emotions are distributed, your particles are distributed. When you collate them, it becomes one body. So applying the same thing and extending the same theory to Mother Earth, the distributed components of air, fire, and all that, we can segregate them and see them as different components. Yeah.
But to one who saw four dimensions, this description would be insufficient. There would be no globe or layers or masses, nor would be solid layer on which is the outside crust be a ball.
Because
So
everything coexists.
So it doesn't even look separate ball.
Exactly.
So there would be no globe or layers or masses, nor would be solid layer on which is the outside crust of a ball. The solid layer extends as an atmosphere of diffused particles of matter beyond its compacted state into the fluid layer.
See, this is
So,
what are the experiences that we have when we sit in deep meditative state.
Yeah, levitation.
Correct.
So solid layer extends to an atmosphere of diffused particles of matter beyond its compacted state into fluid layer. This atmosphere of solid particles extends to the moon. The moon is a body in the zone of water, and this zone extends to the sun. The sun is a body and center in the airy layer, which extends to the stars. Oh my God, what a knowledge. These are bodies in the zone of fire. The planets are bodies in the zones of matter. These are the bodies in the zones of fire. These planets are bodies in the zones of water and air. So finally these are the bodies of the zones of fire. The planets are bodies of the zones of water and air. The zones of
It's
water
God.
and air. What is called the space through which the earth moves around the sun is a matter more closely compacted than the earth through which the earth moves like a fish through water. like a fish through water. It is moving, the earth is moving in the space.
Hmm.
Okay, let's go.
That
In the region of
that is why you can see each kind of a environment that you experience. As you are rotating, the sun, the changing paradigm of the sun, the role of no sun, the winter,
Yeah.
right? All those you are experiencing because of that.
yeah. In the regions of the stars
But one
is
thing, sir, he's talking about is that, see, I mean, what is called the space is
which-
more closely compacted than the earth.
Correct. But then, which is that space? The space through which Earth is moving around the sun.
True. Whatever the space is, that's what we call it as a space. Once we get out of Earth's
Correct.
atmosphere, we call that as a space. So
Correct.
that space, is he talking that it is compacted than the earth? I thought it is less dense. Earth is the denser than the
No, he
space.
is saying that it is closely compacted.
Yeah, that means it's more compacted than the earth.
It is more compacted than the Earth. That is what he is saying.
Yeah, but I mean, our observation is that it is not. At least
we
we
always
know
start
the
with
density of,
Maybe that is what we will discover in the coming days.
maybe, yeah, we don't know, but whatever it is,
Because
right now,
this
at least
is,
what we have
this is
is what we,
experienced as a clairvoyance.
yeah,
Our
right.
science may not be in a position to recognize that.
I mean, yeah, till then we just assume,
Correct.
yeah, through which the earth moves like a fish through the water. Yeah, that's fine. But that compacted than earth is one statement that we don't know yet.
We
I
don't
don't,
know, but then if you go into any of the planetariums and they show you the virtual universe, right? Even in the space center that you
Yeah.
have in Austin,
yeah, right, yeah.
right? When you go in there and then they take you through that virtual ride in the universe,
True,
right?
true.
You see it far more densely existing, right? You see too
No,
many.
not the I mean,
The
not
environment
the
is far
planets.
more populated than the stars that we see. In the Earth, if you look at the star, we see a lot of gap. But
No,
there,
it is the number
the
of
way he
stars that we
showed,
are
yeah.
talking about. But
So
this
that
is
is that's
different.
what he is continuing. He has not stopped there.
Okay.
He is
Yeah.
explaining that. In the regions of the stars is little sunlight and less moonlight and earthlight.
in the region of the stars is little
That is
sunlight.
clear. Yes, that we know.
In the
Okay.
side, sunlight is starlight and
Right.
In the sun is starlight. In the sun is the starlight and sunlight, but little moonlight and less earthlight, and is the solar spaces. And in the solar spaces, that is in the area around the sun, there is hardly any moonlight or earthlight.
Yeah, that's clear.
right. Okay, there is a
There is a constant circulation of masses of units of the four states of matter. Yeah, constant circulation of four units. Okay, they circulate in a stream which is fourfold when it passes through the earth crust. Each of the parts comes from its own layer. The course of the stream is from the stars through the sun, through the moon, through the earth, to the corresponding layers and back again. So it is coming from the stars through the sun, through the moon, and to the earth, and going back the layers. The sun is general center. The sun is the general center and focus of the fourfold stream. Okay. So basically the sun, so they moving around the sun, all these four elements?
all of them are moving.
Yeah, that's what I'm
I
saying.
think
All,
even the sun
yeah.
should be rotating around in its own axis.
Yes. So the sun is the general center and focus of the fourfold stream. Starlight radiant matter is everywhere, but it has centers which are the stars, and a stream of it enters the solar focus.
What does that mean happen?
Yeah. The sun centers also its own light. The sun centers also its own light, airy matter and moonlight, fluid matter and earthly light, solid matter.
So these are all the particles of the sun's center.
Hmm.
Hmm.
So its own light, its own airy matter, moonlight, yeah. As the stars attract and are centers for starlight, so the sun acts for sunlight and the moon for moonlight and the earth, the crust for earthlight.
Hmm.
Okay, so each one has it attracts its own light. These there are thus four lesser currents which make up the main or fourfold current that goes through the sun to the earth. So basically, yeah, fourfold currents going from sun to the earth. The sun sucks in starlight and sunlight directly.
Hmm.
Oh, the sun. Okay, it does not in the same manner take in moonlight and earthlight. So it emits. This one sucks. The sun sucks in starlight and sunlight directly. It does not in the same manner take the moonlight and earthlight. The moon is a focus and center for the layer of moonlight and sends that into the stream of starlight and sunlight that is pumped from the sun to the earth.
Hmm.
So from the moon, so we are getting more of the light. Is that what?
No. The sunlight is containing the moonlight also. That is what it means.
Yes. Yeah. So the moon is a focus and center for the layer of moonlight and sends that into the stream of starlight and sunlight that is pumped from the sun to the earth. The moon also sucks in earth light and pours that with its own light into the sunlight that goes to the earth. That means a mixture.
Yeah, it is a mixture, exactly.
That phenomena is like that. Sun's light on the moon reflects and reaches the earth. That
No,
enables us
that is
to.
how people have explained it, but the way he is saying is there is a suction. That means the other way is, why is it sucking? That means its direction of rotation is in the opposite direction. See, you've got either centripetal force which is going to emit
Yeah.
or centrifugal which is going to suck in, right?
Correct. Yeah, that means, but
On the rotation, it repels or sucks.
Correct.
Thus is made up of the fourfold stream that goes through everything on the outer surface of the earth. On the earth, it circulates as a fourfold stream. It goes back into the moon, which cleanses, modifies, and regulates the earth light and the moonlight, which then go with the purified sunlight and starlight to the solar focus.
So I think while we read this, next week we will read a little bit of the zodiac from the zodiac articles that he has written. We will get more clarity.
Because his way of putting things are a little confusing here,
Correct.
the way word. There, the moonlight and the earthlight are vivified, and the sunlight and the starlight streams on their own layers.
Hmm.
Mhm. And sunlight and the
what does
starlight.
vivified meaning, madam?
Which one, sir?
Does it mean either mixture or separated? Are clear?
Why don't we go into the Mr. Google?
Instead of Webster dictionary.
Yeah. Because the AI will give us more information. Past tense of vivified, past particle vivified, make more lively or interesting. That means there is a lot of mixing that is going on.
Mm.
What does vivify mean? To
endorse
the life or renewed life, animate, rains that vivify the barren hills, to impart vitality or vividness to. That is what it means, sir.
So it
Whatever it
vivifies,
means.
it
That means it
renews
is
the life.
enhancing the qualities of all the constituents within,
Yes, the renewing.
Light.
revitalizing, whatever you call.
So what he says is moonlight and earthlight are enhanced.
And the sunlight and the starlight stream onto their own layers. Where on the earth it circulates as a fourfold stream, it goes back to the moon, which cleanses, modifies, and regulates the earth light and the moonlight, which then go with the purified sunlight and starlight to the solar focus. So the whole thing is going back to the solar focus.
So basically, what he's saying is because of this different lights
And
and
the
the earthly
rotation,
element,
and the rotation, both.
so it renews like our body, isn't it? It throws away unnecessary things and sucks in.
Same thing that we are doing through the body, it is doing it through the external environment. Because the next line explains it. This breath,
Yeah, this fourfold system of radiant, airy, fluid, and solid unit is the fourfold physical breath that comes and goes through all things on the earth crust and builds, preserves, and destroys them. This breath is kept in circulation by the fourfold physical breath of human beings, which is the active side of their breath forms.
all of them are interconnected that way.
Yeah. It is the breath of human being that keeps the starlight active amongst the most distant stars. Oh, it is the breath of human being that keeps the starlight active among the most distant stars, that breathes the sunlight through the sun, that drives the moonlight through the moon, and that causes the fourfold breath stream to flow into and out of the sun, the moon, and the earth. So our breath also, it is affecting. That's why
will.
so
See,
zodiac.
what is the very first paragraph of Seth, Nature of Personal Reality, talking about? He says,
Our thoughts
your breath
create
is sent to
connected
the
universe.
environment immediately outside you.
Correct.
But then there is already the energy which is in motion, which will take in and then move it in various directions. The rotation of the other bodies, such as the stars, the moon, the earth, and all, will also impact the motion of that. That is how the larger nuclear fission that is taking place, a similar thing is going through the particles, the displacement is going through all those forces. That is what it means.
See, that is how this sentence connects the zodiac to our body to zodiac.
Exactly, yes.
So it is the breath of human being that keeps the starlight active among the most distant stars, that breathes the sunlight through the sun, that drives the moonlight through the moon, and that causes the fourfold the breath stream to flow into and out of the sun, moon, and the earth. This fourfold stream circulates outside as the arterial and venous blood. It does inside the human body. Oh, this fourfold stream circulates outside as the arterial and venous blood does inside the human body, and envelops and penetrates all things on the earth crust. So this is how, all this fourfold light also, affects our blood circulation. It leaves behind some units, those that are caught, and carried away others, those that are no longer held. The units that are held so as to the mass of a thing, that which is seen, are coming and going. This mass appears to be permanent, but it is not.
It appears permanent, but it is not. See, this is exactly, this is going to slowly stretch itself. This entire thing that he has explained will become the quantum theory. When
So
you observe something, it will be visible. Otherwise, it is moving in its own path.
so that is my ephemeral.
Correct.
In the it's just
Perfect.
please.
Correct.
Or it could be the other way also, sir, that for people who are living there, it appears that we are living for permanently, but actually there is a pralayam which dissolves everything completely and get out.
No, see, both are possible. I'm not disputing that.
Yeah.
Both are possible.
Correct. Because normally people think this earth is also permanent for a human being who
No,
is
but
on this earth.
not when you and I think about it, madam. We know that it is
Yeah.
temporary.
No.
Correct.
You and I do not think it is permanent.
So that also means that our body also is in the same pattern. It is not just a solid. It is, it appears to be a solid. Because he is writing the next line, which is very interesting.
Yeah. The physical bodies of human beings are the centers around which all turns and through which all circulates. Without a human physical body, what is known to human beings as nature would cease to act. So without human physical bodies, the nature stops completely.
Correct.
There would be no phenomena, no colors, no sounds, no forces, no beings, no things celestial or terrestrial. So that is why we are so important. Physical matter would be at a standstill. The physical universe is an expression, projection, and extension of the human body. The solid earth crust is the sex, the moon is the kidneys, and its atmosphere is the adrenals, the sun is the heart, and its atmosphere the lungs. The planets are other organs, and the stars are the brain and nervous system of the universe on the fourfold physical plane of the physical world. Oh my God, how he compared the
This
whole.
is how he is introducing the zodiac.
This reminds of Matthias' talk, sir, where he says we are the cells of the universe, Mother Earth.
Correct.
Earth will be cell of the universe. It's that's how internal, from internal to external. That's how it is.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, this is very important. This is what I was referring to in one of the, yeah. He says the sun is the heart and its atmosphere, the lungs, planets and other organs, the stars are the brain and the nervous system of the universe. The fourfold breath goes through all human bodies as the generative or fire breath, the respiratory or air breath, the circulatory or water breath, and the digestive or earth breath, which ebb and flow in their respective systems, the upper three breaths pervading the earth breath. So four different breaths, four different systems.
Correct.
Connected to. Fire breath or starlight comes along the nerves of the eye and digestive system. The air breath or sunlight along the nerves of the ear and respiratory system. The water breath or the moonlight along the nerves of the tongue and circulatory system. And the earth breath or earth light along the nerves of the nose and digestive system. The fire breath goes out along the nerves of the testicles and prostate or of the ovaries and womb. The air breath along the nerves of the heart and lungs. The water breath along the nerves of the adrenals, kidneys and bladder, and the earth breath along the nerves of the stomach, intestines and anus.
Now,
At the same
one
time,
here, ma'am. The fire breath, the earth breath, these are your prana, apana, udana, samana, vyayana.
correct.
Yeah.
Pancha prana.
No, actually there are dasha, right? Pancha,
Correct.
these and pancha sub also are there.
Yes.
Yes.
Mm.
Water breath along the nerves of the adrenals, kidneys, bladder, and the earth breath along the nerves of the stomach, intestines, and anus. At the same time, these breaths come in and go out through the pores of the
Pores of
skin.
the skin. Correct.
The breaths swing in from the above while they swing out from the below, and swing in below when they go out above. The both ways. In the body, the heart is the center for the air.
You imagine what is shown in the esoteric anatomy diagram, the wireless diagram of the human being, where he shows the flow.
Yeah.
Morning
Yes.
also I showed the diagram, right?
Oh yeah, that yeah. With the zodiac signs.
No, I'm talking about this diagram.
Okay. Different currents of air. Yeah,
Correct. This is the flow, no? He is actually establishing the flow.
correct. Yeah, right side is the atom,
Correct.
and left side
The
spindle
entire
of
thing,
the
the nucleus of the earth and all that. Correct.
the division. Yeah, correct. Yeah. The mixing and the breath swing, this is done. The mixing and distribution of the four breaths is done chiefly by the heart corresponding to the sun, secondarily by the kidneys corresponding to the moon. The breath that is noticed in breathing is the air breath only. The other three breaths which it carries are not noticed. Correct. Because we only notice the air breath. The breath of human beings comes and goes many times in a minute. It causes the fourfold breath of the earth crust to come and go every few hours. It causes the earth crust to come and go every few hours, and the water breath of the moon to come and go as ebb and flow twice a day, and the solar breath to come and go twice a year. Oh, this is what he talks about twice a year. What is it? Chandra, Surya,
The nadis.
Surya,
That is that Uttarayana and Dakshinayana, right? Twice a year is that.
Correct. The speed of the radiant, airy, fluid, and solid units in the solar breath is immeasurably greater than that in the human breath. The speed of the radiant, airy, fluid, and solid units in the solar breath is immeasurably greater than that in the human breath. So basically, solar breath is through our heart and lungs. Nevertheless, the human organs are so geared with the celestial bodies that there is a constant reaction between them. So he is saying there is a constant reaction between celestial bodies and the human bodies, human organs.
But
The fourfold breath.
in the subtlest form, they are always integrated, right?
Yeah.
That is what it
Correct.
means.
Yeah. There's a constant reaction between them. The fourfold physical breath flows from the conception by means of the mother's breath until birth, and then by independent breath until death. The fourfold current builds up the fourfold body, maintains it, and destroys it when the individual breathing having ceased. This outside breath carries the fleeting units into their elements. When there is a conception for the new body, the swing of the physical breath that was suspended begins again where it left off. So basically, the same breath again, it continues when in the womb. The whole row of lives of the human beings of a doer is a unity because of the continuity which is provided by the AIA, which it revivifies the form for a new breath form to take up and carry on the fourfold breath of the body.
Correct. This is how this. No, this is a very interesting chapter. This changes the understanding of spiritual tablets for me completely.
This is what I was saying. Somewhere I read this because our neurons, spine is connected
Everything,
to
yeah.
start.
So this helps the visualization when you are trying to create your journey to recovery.
Correct. We are not limited to this body.
Correct.
This is we all everywhere. We are in the sun, we are in the moon, and we are in the stars. We're all connected.
Correct.
See that this is really great, like eye-opening.
Now, in fact, we should read about breath. What does he write about breath and where does he write about breath? That is more important for us now. Breath, and we are interested in web page, and we are interested in this language only. Breath.
Oh, this is the first paper.
Yeah. In 1905, he wrote in his, the first article he wrote about breath is this. Should we read this now?
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
Is this here? Yeah. Members of the human family, breath. Members of the human family breathes from the moment of entrance into the physical world until the time of their departure, but not until the last quarter of the last century. That has the Western branch of the family given serious attention to the great importance of breathing and
The
to the
font
process
is
of
too small, no?
yeah. Here now it's better.
No,
Yeah.
let me do
Now
one. No, let me do one thing. It just doesn't take too long.
I can close all other small windows and just make it bigger.
No.
Yeah,
One sec. Just give me 1 minute.
sure.
There was PDF, and where do I want to save it? Oh. Oh, I didn't save it as PDF. I save as, no, not this. I save as PDF. Save. Here we go. Ma'am, this is better readable, no?
Okay, yeah. Okay. Breath. Members of the human family breathe from the moment of entrance into the physical world until the time of their departure, but not until the last quarter of the last century. That has Western branch of the family given serious attention to the great importance of breathing and to the process of breathing. So they never paid attention to the importance and the process of breathing.
That is
Attention.
the Western branch of the family. That means the Western world.
Word. Yeah. Attention having been directed to the subject, they have adopted the methods advised by teachers, and many have gone breathing mad. And having directed to the subject, they have adopted the methods advised by teachers, and many have gone breathing mad. Professors of the science of breath have appeared amongst us, who, for a consideration, teach the uninitiated how to get and how to keep immortal youth, rise in our opulence.
Pranayama.
Huh?
He is referring to pranayama.
All breath
Yeah.
exercises, he said.
Yeah,
no?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So why can he say professor? Why Eastern
No, some
masters
of
and
us have
professor?
become professors, saying that we are
No, I know.
admitting that, we are teaching that and all. He is
But
representing
in
it
those,
in an ironical manner that till yesterday you ignored, but suddenly you have become professors on that.
but why can he mention Indian gurus or Indian masters? He never mentioned like that
No, no,
because
no.
in 100
He is, see, this is how writers are. That is how the people who ruled over India, right? They changed the history of India to their convenience.
yeah,
This
correct.
is what happens.
All-
Yeah,
yes,
Yeah,
attention.
Professor.
winners write the history, sir, always.
Correct. Winners always rewrite the history.
And they write on their own. It happened in the Mughal dynasty.
No,
It
no, it has
happened with the
happened
British Empire.
right through.
And it
And
happened
they have
during
destroyed
Indira
the
Gandhi.
previous written documents. That is why you are lost.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
desire is to read the textbooks of 10th,
Professor
9th.
Yeah, I
Can
agree.
you hear me?
Sir,
Can you hear me?
not clearly.
ఎందుకో మీ వాయిస్ మీ కంప్యూటర్ సౌండ్ లోగా ఉంటుంది.
Is it better?
Yeah,
you-
please repeat it. Let us see.
Okay. So my desire is to read the history textbooks of 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, whatever from Pakistan. Because that is where the true history of India will be described.
No, even there they would have rewritten, sir. They would have written the hatred to India now.
No, agreed. But at least, there will be, to a certain extent, it will be more truthful than what is written by the
If we can
NCERT.
we can go to the archives and read it from the archives, we may get some semblance of truth.
Okay.
And a lot of books are already destroyed completely.
Correct, correct.
At least from the 11th century onwards, all the previous books are totally destroyed,
Correct.
burned.
Yeah, let's go ahead. We are of the opinion that
Opinion that breathing exercises would be of benefit only if taken under the instruction of one who possessed real knowledge and after the mind of the student had been trained and fitted for them by the study of philosophy, because that would teach of the different faculties and qualities in the student as they are developed by breathing. So basically, pranayama teaching only says when the student is qualified. It used to be like that, a student teacher. Only when the student is qualified, teacher used to teach and would let him cope with the dangers of psychic development. Long, deep, natural breathing is good, but as a result of practicing breathing exercises, many have weakened the action of the heart and contracted nervous disorders, developed diseases more frequently, consumption become despondent and melancholy, acquired morbid appetites and exaggerated fantasies have unbalanced their minds and have even ended in suicide. That means wrong pranayama. He's
no,
explaining.
he says we are of the opinion that breathing exercises. So there are because so
Yeah,
many
the
professors have come up.
Yes, even in India, see, even until few years ago, until in the 40 years ago, people used to say, no meditation, no, if you do it wrongly, it will go, you will go mad. What is this? That is how people used to think.
Correct.
Through man is the copy of all this. Many kinds of breath are playing. What is commonly called the
You have to
physical
read
breath?
the other one. There are different kinds of breath.
Oh, okay, yeah, correct. There are different kinds of breath. There is the great breath which ebbs and flows in the ceaseless rhythm by its system of universes are breathed out from the invisible to the visible realms. What is it? there is a great breath which ebbs and flows in the ceaseless rhythm by its system of universes are breathed out from the invisible to the visible realms. From
Yes,
each of the
systems of the universes. You see, each system of the universe, just like the fourfold system of a human being, there are the fourfold systems of the universe and all that. That's what he said. Yeah.
full body connected to the
Just now we
fourfold
read that chapter. Is it saying about that, referring about that?
Which one?
The one which we just read in the
Book, yeah.
Re-Existence?
Yeah.
Okay.
from each of the
This is the
innumerable
same
solar
thing. See, he has taken these articles that he has envisioned and then created thinking and destiny.
Oh, first these things came.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
from the papers.
But these are all
the
his
papers.
clairvoyant articles. Yeah. Let's continue.
From each of the innumerable solar system is breathed out its own systems of words, and again each of these breathes out, each of these breaths out multifarious forms.
Hmm.
These forms are absorbed by the inbreathing of the world system, which disappears in the solar system, and all flow back in the great breath. So basically, we are breathing in and out of the solar system and other systems also.
No, what they
And
are breathing out is coming into us. What we are breathing out is going, and then it is again merging with the great system. Yeah.
so basically, through the breath in and out, we are connected to the all the four
Just
systems
like
also.
our lungs are purifying what is inside us, the universal lungs are purifying those environments. Yeah.
Is this
Through
what
man,
called pulsation, sir?
Pardon?
In and out. Is this what called pulsation?
I don't understand. Which pulsation?
pulsation.
We say that, right? In unified pulsation, heart's pulsation.
No, heart's pulsation is heart beating.
Beating. Heart beating.
Okay.
Pulsation is heart beating.
No, that is what the in and out, the force.
That is only to some extent, right? But then that is only talking at the heart level. What about all your vertices?
That's what everything unifies. That's what comes in that place. That's why it's called unified field or
No,
chakra.
that is when you are enlightened, everything becomes the unified chakra.
Okay.
What unified is referring to is at the heart level, what is going and coming through the heart. Because that is the source of what is getting connected and dispersed, both.
Okay.
Okay. But here what he is talking about is everything comes from the great breath. Our system cleanse it the way our body needs it. The universal part will cleanse it the way the universe needs it. And all of them then circulate and become the great breath.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
Through man, the copy of all this, many kinds of breaths are playing. What is commonly called the physical breath is no breath at all. It is the act of breathing. The movement of breathing is caused by the psychic breath, which is common to man and animals alike. This breath holds the life in form. Breath is not nitrogen and oxygen, but these elements with others are used by the psychic breath to support the body
With certain food.
This breath plays many parts and serves many purposes. When it enters the body at birth, it makes the connection between the life in that body and the ocean of life in which the earth and the body of man are moving. Once the connection is established, this breath relays the life current without and within the body to the principle of form, which molds the fiery current of life into the design and form of the body. Acting on stomach and liver, this breath stimulates in them the appetites, the passions, and desires. As the wind plays over the strings of an alien harp, so So the psychic breath plays over the network of nerves in the body, agitates the mind, and leads into the direction of vagrant thoughts, not one's own, are the dwelling on and carrying out the desires suggested by the body. So
Mm.
this is how he compared the violin instrument to the nerves in the body, the
Correct.
strings.
Correct.
But the true breath of man is the mind breath and is of a different nature. It is the instrument through which the incarnating mind works with the body. This is the breath which affects the thoughts, that is, the thoughts produced by the mind. This mind breath is the body or the nascent principle of the mind itself, which the eternal soul of man uses as its vehicle to make connection with the physical body at birth. When this breath has entered the body at birth, it establishes the relationship between the physical body and the ego or I am principle. Through it, the ego enters the world, lives in the world, leaves the world, and passes from incarnation to incarnation. The ego operates and works with the body through this breath. That is the mind breath he's talking. The constant
It is
action
the
and
doer,
reaction.
right? This ego becomes the doer, correct?
Correct. Correct. When it is embodied in that, yeah.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah. The mind breath underlies the psychic breath. The constant action and reaction between the body and mind is carried on by this breath, which is the ego or mind breath. The ego operates and works with the body through this breath. The constant action and reaction between the body and the mind is carried on by this breath. The mind breath underlies the psychic breath. There is also a spiritual breath, which should control the mind and psychic breath. Oh, so now he covered mind and mind breath and psychic breath. He is now talking about spiritual breath. So that there is a spiritual breath which should control the mind and psychic breath. The spiritual breath is the creative principle through which we will become operative, controls the mind, and conforms the life of a man to divine ends. This breath is guided by the will in its progress through the body, where it awakens the dead centers, purifies the organs which were made impure by sensual life, stimulates the ideas, and calls into actuality the latent divine possibility of man. Wow. So because of the spiritual breath, the progress occurs by these transformations. Underlying all these breaths and supporting them is the great breath. Oh, there is another one called great breath.
Now look
Underlying-
at this. Now look at the interesting part. The chakras are coming into picture.
With a rushing vortex-like motion, the breath, which is the mind breath, enters into and surrounds the body at birth with the first gasp. This entrance of the breath is the beginning of the building up of the individuality through that earthly human form. There is the one center of the breath within the body and another center outside of the body.
This is your chakra, the one on the nature side and one on the intelligence side. Let's see this.
That's why, yeah. Throughout life, there is a tidal ebb and flow between these two centers. At the time of each physical in-breathing, there is a corresponding out-breathing of the mind breath. At the time of each physical in-breathing, there is a corresponding out-breathing of the mind breath. Physical, moral, and spiritual health depends on the harmonious movements of the breath between these centers. That is, so should one wish to breathe by an other than the involuntary movement, the care must be taken that the kind and process of breathing determined on should depend on the student's physical, moral, and spiritual fitness in his ambitions and aspirations. So that means
no, left and right.
yeah, okay. Should one wish to breathe by any other than the involuntary movement? Okay. Care must be taken that the kind and process of breathing determined should depend on the student's physical, moral, and spiritual fitness in his ambitions. Okay. Basically, when you are taking
Again, both need to
pranayama,
be balanced. Otherwise, there will be an imbalance right at the breath stage.
yeah. The breath is the inward and outward swing of the pendulum, which ticks off the life of the body. The movement of the breath between the two centers holds the balance of the life in the body. If it is interfered with through stupidity or by intent, the health of the body and the mind will be impaired, and disease or death will result. The breath normally flows from the right nostril for about 2 hours. Then it changes and flows evenly through both nostrils alike for a few minutes, and then through the left nostril for about 2 hours. After that, it flows evenly through both, and then again through the right nostril. In all who are fairly healthy, this continues from birth to death. Another peculiarity of the breath not generally known is that it pulsates in and around around man in
In
waves of
waves.
varying,
Ah,
determined by the breathing of nature and on his physical, moral, spiritual health and development. Another peculiarity of breath is generally known is that it pulsates in and around man in waves of varying length, which is determined by the breathing of nature and on physical. That means, angrily, when you are angry, you breathe faster. Now, the practice of breathing consists in the voluntary changing of the flow from left or right nostril to the right or left, as the case may be, before the natural change sets in, involuntary preventing the flow, and also in changing the wavelength. In connection with what has been said of the breath, it must be apparent that the subtle connection of the man with the universe may be easily interfered with, and his relationship thrown out of the balance. So this is important. Because of that imbalance, we are creating imbalance with the universe also.
correct.
Hence the great danger of the ignorant and rash who take breathing exercises without the assurance of being fitted and of having a qualified teacher. So
Hmm.
the movement of the breath acts in many capacities in the body. The maintenance of animal life requires the continued absorption of oxygen and excretion of carbonic acid. By inbreathing, the air is drawn into the lungs where it is met by the blood, which absorbs the oxygen, and it is purified and conveyed through the arterial system to all parts of the body, building and feeding the cells. Then by way of veins, the blood returns charged with the carbonic acid and with part of the waste products and effete matter, all of which are expelled from the lungs by outbreathing. So the health of the body depends on sufficient
Oxygen.
oxygenation. Over or under oxygenation of the blood causes a building of cells by the current of the blood, which are defective in their nature and allows disease germs to multiply. All physical diseases is due to over or under oxygenation of the blood. The blood is oxygenated through the breathing, and the breathing depends on the quality of thought, quality of light, air, and food. Pure thoughts, plenty of light, pure air, and pure food induce correct breathing and therefore a proper oxygenation, hence perfect health. So pure thoughts, plenty of light, pure air, and pure food. The lungs and skin are not the only channels through which a man breathes. The breath comes and goes through every organ in the body, but it is understood that breath is not physical, but psychic, mental, and spiritual. So breath is fourfold: physical, psychic, mental, spiritual. The breath stimulates the stomach, liver, and spleen, and the appetites, passions, desires. It enters the heart and gives power. It enters the heart and gives the power to the emotions and thoughts. It enters the head and starts the rhythmic motion of the soul organs in the inner brain, bringing them onto relation with the higher planes of being. So the breath, which is the nascent mind, is transformed into the human mind. The mind is the conscious I am, but the I am is the beginning of the path which leads to the ineffable one consciousness.
That
My
is,
God.
I did
that
not
is
understand the last para well, sir.
which one? Let's read it again.
This one, it enters the heart. Yeah, last whole para.
Yeah, let's read it again. The breath
The breath,
no, see, read with the lungs.
okay. The lungs and skin are not the only channels through which a man breathes. The breath comes and goes through every organ in the body. But it is understood that breath is not physical, but psychic, mental, and
Yeah,
spiritual.
this I
The,
understood.
Correct.
Yeah.
Now let us go ahead and read each line carefully. The breath
the breath
stimulates
stimulates the
the
stomach.
stomach, liver, and spleen. The
Yeah.
the
And
appetite,
also it
passions, and desires. So when it is doing the stomach, liver, and spleen, it is doing the appetites, passions, and desires. It enters the heart and gives power to the emotions and thoughts. That is where he says, right? It starts with your left kidney and then goes up and comes to the heart, etc.
Yeah, in the chapters he mentioned.
Right? So it enters the heart and gives power to the emotions and thoughts. It enters the head and starts the rhythmic motion of the soul organs in the inner brain,
And the
bringing them
pineal
into
gland
relation
and
with the higher planes of the being. What are the higher planes? Your physical plane, your mental plane, your noetic plane, and your psychic plane. Those are the four, right?
yeah.
So it is connecting to those through the head.
because the
It's coming
pituitary
to
and
the
pineal
lungs, right? So the breath, which is in the nascent mind, in the starting mind, is transformed into human mind.
By traversing, that's how it is transferring into human.
Exactly.
Okay.
That means what is happening through the organs? All the organs that he has mentioned, the corresponding breath is going through them. You got the psychic breath, the mental breath, and each organ is connected with one of the
Planes. Yeah.
planes, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now all of them together is forming the organ, or the other way around is the organ is managing some of them. Both.
Yeah. So everything is taking part. It's not
Correct.
just lungs
Correct.
and
Correct.
okay, got it.
Correct.
Yeah.
So the breath, which is the nascent mind is the primitive mind.
Okay.
Okay. Is transformed into the human mind. The mind is the conscious I am, but the I am is the beginning of the path which leads to the one consciousness.
Yeah, this is where I was off. I didn't understand this.
Now you got it or still not?
Yeah, I got it, sir.
Right. Yeah. That is why this man's English has to be referred with a background in mind.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that English will go away into nature without us understanding anything. Right. So,
Yeah.
and the same breath, right? Consciousness through knowledge, I in the senses. He takes you through so many articles just for breath. Just see this. We can potentially go mad.
Oh, he put a om on that. See, if
Yeah.
you go back, yeah, he is Sanskrit om. In one of the articles,
No.
I
There
saw.
are other languages also. That is why you need to look.
No, on that. Yeah. He said, I saw the Sanskrit om.
Yeah. So the language, yeah. Now we will get the right one. These are all the I in the senses is the zodiac, the Cancer. He talks about four kinds of the formation, right? In thoughts also, he spoke about that S in the zodiac, ma'am.
Yes.
Right. So you got
Correct.
four organs coming into each segment.
Yeah. Yeah, he all the 12 he put 3 together into 4
Correct.
quadrants.
Correct. Soul. What is the soul breath? छोटा है बड़ा है बहुत बड़ा है ये आज नहीं होगा
Uh,
Yeah, but very interesting, sir.
No, no, I mean, see, whichever state, how we were led into that, we don't know, but it is tremendous amount of information.
Yeah.
yeah.